All right, friends out in George Brand's land, we got a pretty exciting new feature we're going to add to the website. Being business kids, one of the things we always love talking about is football analogies in business, right? So we do the blocking, we do the tackling, the air game, the ground game, all those kind of analogies we use. So I figured, it's football season, so why not go and find the greatest sideline reporter in the country and bring her on, hopefully weekly, bi-weekly, whenever your time allows, um,
Absolutely.
and talk football and get some insight on what's going on with the SEC and my beloved Ducks. So we're going to talk to, and you've seen her on the screen here for a minute. Her name is Rachel Baribeau, and she, like I said earlier, is the world's greatest sideline reporter. And we can talk about different things throughout, but her claim to fame initially, you went and tried out as a football player at one point, right?
I did. I used to be a sports talk show host. I've worn a lot of hats, Ryan, and I had a drive time show for an ESPN affiliate. And my co-host thought it would be a fabulous idea for me to go play football. And we had a local indoor football team in Columbus, Georgia. And I said yes. The first time I caught a ball, they were like, hoisting me on their shoulders, like a scene out of Rudy, Ryan. I mean, it was awesome.
Rachel, the Rudy version. I much rather
The 100-pound Rudy version.
not to be weird, but I'd rather watch you than me. That is awesome. And then now you're doing the sideline reporting for Tide Sports Extra, right? You're the
I
official
do. I work
online.
for the Tuscaloosa News, and everything is going the way of the internet. So, what newspapers are starting to do, including the Tuscaloosa News, which is a propriety of the New York Times, what they have done is they have gone to the internet and they created a niche site called Tide Sports Extra. And so, I do all the online anchoring for that site. I do features. I cover press conferences, football games, practices. So it's, my job title every week changes. Description, I would say, changes. But I'm right in the thick of football, college football. And for me, it makes me very, very happy.
So we're going to jump into some football then, right off
Let's
the
do.
bat. Just hit it up. And you're going to have to lead me a little here. I mean, I
That's
look
fine.
like a football expert, but I'm really better at the tailgating portion.
And here's the thing. I wish I was in your shoes because I have not tailgated in years. There's an away game for Alabama soon that I'm not going to be covering. And I actually went to the rival school, Auburn, which is a very interesting little tidbit of information about my background. And I'm going to get to tailgate, Ryan. And I have not tailgated in so long. I'm like, pace yourself, take care of yourself. Not too many dogs. Watch the brats, because I haven't done it so long. On Saturdays, I'm used to working.
First, let us know what's going on in the SEC and what's happening.
The West is really where it's at this year. South Carolina has lost a game, but they have done well. But what's going on with South Carolina that's matching up with Alabama this weekend is historically under Steve Spurrier, they've done real well, and then they've fallen off. So in the East, Florida got beat by Alabama last week, and the way Alabama came out, nobody really expected that, I think, outside of the football program. So they're still reeling. Georgia, it breaks my heart for what's going on at Georgia. I don't know. Mark Richt's a really nice guy, but I don't know. I think he's a hair away if he's not already lost control of that program with the Georgia Bulldogs. And it's a very sad day because, again, he's a good guy, but I don't know if he's necessarily the best coach for that program right now. I do think he'll get another year depending on what happens to end this year. But you also have South Carolina. Tennessee's had a heartbreaker. I think Derek Dooley at Tennessee's a really good coach. I don't know that Tennessee will be patient enough to give him the time that he needs to develop into the right coach because he needs 3 years to be able to recruit there and really bring it back because after the Lane Kiffin debacle, the cupboard was really bare at Tennessee. And I don't know how folks up there feel about Lane Kiffin, but he really left a bad taste in everybody's mouth that has anything to do with the SEC. But so really that's the East. But the strong teams this year are Auburn and Alabama in the West. And LSU somehow, Les Miles keeps getting lucky. I don't know what he does. Some people suspect that he has a direct line to God. I don't know. I think he has a stash of like lucky rabbit's foots, like a whole room of them somewhere. And I think, that at one point in time, your luck does run out. So that's what's kind of going on in the SEC.
On the Lane Kiffin thing, so the Ducks played Tennessee earlier this
Yeah.
year, and one of the T-shirts the kids were wearing, the Duck fans were We have one thing in common. We both hate Lane.
Everybody does. Here's the thing. I've always been honest. Whatever I've done, whatever medium it is, it's in. And I think Lane has ridden the coattails of his father. I think Lane is young. I think he's brash. I think he's arrogant. I think that he speaks out of turn. I think that he is one of those people that thinks before he speaks. And I think that he's also one of those people that are idiots that subscribe to the theory all publicity is good publicity. And that's just not the case, coming in and calling out another coach in the SEC for cheating when it's not really cheating. And if you had taken the time to read the NCAA handbook, albeit it's bigger than the Bible, but if you had taken the time to read it, you'd know that wasn't the case. And he just keeps getting in these situations, and good luck at USC. But insiders have told me with the USC job that they had to offer it to somebody who would take it, Ryan, because they had offered it to 5 people that had turned it down.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, good. The mighty Trojans. Yeah. It's awful. makes me hurt a little that they're down.
I've got to throw in a little nugget here.
Yeah,
Ohio State.
I love a nugget.
Ducks are better than Ohio State. I think Ohio State, they're posers. I think Ohio State, it's because it's the Big Ten. I think Ohio State, it's because of Mr. Sweater Vest himself. I think, Terrell Pryor's a good quarterback that's prone to mistakes. But I think that Ohio State is a team, and we've seen in the past, that's really good, and they get to the big games and they choke. And so I just think if Ohio State were tested more legitimately week in and week out, I think that they would be exposed. I think Oregon's a better team than Ohio State is right now. And I know that the BCS is coming out very, very, very soon. And so we'll see how those computers, factor in the human element. But Oregon is mighty opponent right now.
I like that. I like where your head's at there.
I speak the truth.
I mean, last year you were down covering Alabama, the national title game, right?
Yeah.
The Ducks were there the week before. So this year maybe it'll be a collision. Look, I just spoke with Chris Lowe from ESPN, and he told me the matchup that he is salivating to see is the Oregon-Alabama matchup on a neutral field. That is the matchup today. Now, of course, look, we have a lot of football games left to play, okay? So I'm not going to say crown Alabama there because they've got a lot of good games. As he pointed out, and I have to concur, no one thought it was going to be Tennessee where they almost slipped up last year, where they had they had to win by field goals. They had to win by blocking a field goal to be able to seal the victory. So there's a lot of football yet to be played. But if it was played today, what they've done, the body of work so far, Oregon looks mighty good, and so does Alabama. What stands in Alabama's way right now, what stands in Ohio State's way, as with a lot of teams, is a psychological aspect. They have to part of it is believing in yourself. Coach Saban talked about this the other day, but not buying into the hype, not listening to the polls, not watching any of that stuff. Believing in yourself, and what the motto is at Alabama is, look, we're going to play Alabama football. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter which opponent we face. It's not going to change. We're going to play the football, the brand of football that we know, which is really tough, fundamental, get back to the basics. Football, smart football, which is, similar a lot of places, Ryan, but it doesn't change at Alabama. No matter who they face, they still keep the same attributes. I mean, we have a little guy out in Oregon, LaMichael. He can run a little, though. So.
Just a bit. I mean, seriously, it's not a bad thing you guys have out there. The guy's already counted for 7 touchdowns and 712 yards. That's sick. And the cool thing about Oregon too is that I don't know that people have counted them out necessarily yet this season, but I know that people have questioned them, and you can go to the bathroom and get a water, as some people have said, and again, I have to agree, and they come back and they score 2 or 3 touchdowns to take the lead. Quick strike, fast tempo, high octane offense, and they can hurt you in so many different ways.
To totally switch gears on you, but
You're okay.
A couple things I'd love to hit on with you besides football stuff. I know you've been able to interview people from Lee Corso to Bobby Bowden to Gene Stallings. I mean, these are amazing, legendary folks in football and in sport. I was just wondering, any kind of little stories, and it doesn't need to be from them, but I would love to hear any kind of little insights or stories from great interviews you've had.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay. Well, I had dinner at Evander Holyfield's house one time. many years ago. And I will tell you that, his house is opulent. Like, opulent's not even the word. If there's a word above opulent in the dictionary, like, that means more than opulent,
Yeah.
if like 16 karat gold faucet, in the bathroom, and these huge urns that like were made of gold. And I took a look at his ear when I was there, and I saw it where it was sewn back on.
Oh
And
my God.
it was ridiculous. And then I met his wife, who was at that time a year younger than I was. So I know I used good night cream and all, but she was a young chickadee. So he liked the young women there. I sat down with Bobby Bowden recently. You mentioned him. And he flat out told me, that the way things went down with Florida State was really hurtful. And he will remember it. And he feels like the way that the NCAA did him, it was like slapping a fly with a paddle board, basically.
Really?
He said it was just ridiculous. He wants the wins back. He wished, he could have had them back. And it's something that he won't forget. Yeah, he's learned from it, but he's not going to forget it. And so a great man. He's done a lot of things for football. And more importantly, he's a guy like a Lombardi, like a Bear Bryant, that cares more about men than he does about football. Those guys really, they wanted to win football games, but they cared about making a really, really good person out of a football player more than they did about winning football games.
God, I love that. That's cool, right? I mean, that's what they were about.
And for me, yeah, I cover sports, Ryan, but I'm fortunate enough that I get to tell stories and interview people and find these kind of stories. My motto in life is everyone has a story to tell. It's just you got to help them tell it, and some people just don't have the tools to tell it. And so myself as a communicator and being in the broadcasting field, and you as well, you can help people tell their stories. And Jackie Robinson said, my favorite quote on this earth, our single greatest purpose on this earth is to influence another human being's life. And so that's what we're here for, to help each other. What a cool world we live in.
What a cool world we would live in. Look at this. We talked football and I got inspired.
Yeah. See, that's what it's all about.
I'm a branding guy.
Okay.
At the end of the day, that's what I try to be. So I know one of the areas I'm fascinated in, and I'd like to kind of give little tips to each week, is learning. There's corporate branding, right? Taking a brand and telling an emotional story, kind of like you mentioned earlier. And then there's folks such as yourself, and there's personal branding, and there's this ability to create your own brand. So I would love every week just to kind of hear from you some advice and tips on creating that personal brand, which people can use in their own work experience, or if they're doing something like you're doing, or towards a company too. So
my thought is, here's a thought for you this week, and the people that are watching this. What are you leading with? We just heard the story of the female broadcaster that was in the locker room and was supposedly harassed and things of that nature. And very, unfortunate story. But the bare bones facts of that story was, some of the things she was leading with may have led to some of the things that happened in that locker room. Okay. So my question to the people that are watching this is, what are you leading with? What are you putting out there? What you put out there is going to directly affect what you get back. All right. So if you're leading with your attributes, your strengths, with positive thoughts, with good things, with humor, like you always kill me with humor. I love it. You keep me in stitches. Be careful and be cognizant of what you're leading with. That's my first tip. And so when you look in the mirror and you're assessing your strengths and your weaknesses, because we all have them. No one's perfect. You need to ask yourself, what am I best at? What can I sell? What do I have to help the world? What can I offer to help somebody? Because it doesn't matter if you help one person or if you help 1 million people or 100 million. If you do, help one person, I think that's, you've done your part. But you've got to assess your own strengths and weaknesses. And again, what are you leading with?
Yeah, that is perfect. Man,
Yeah.
you're a branding expert.
I like being called an expert. I'll take that all day long.